All right, all right. Welcome. Finally, from S40S Media, we wanted to get this interview underway. I was waiting on this one for a while. We have Miss Alisha Curtis of Sex and the Single Girl. She has an amazing book, and I wanted everyone to know what exactly she has going on and what the book is about. And maybe you can learn something from Miss Alisha today. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm excellent. I'm glad we finally got you up here.
Finally, it's been a long time coming.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Time.
Oh, yes. Let's jump right into it, because I like the title off top. Sex and a Single Girl.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure everyone wants to know what's that about. So let's just give everyone a quick rundown of who Miss Alisha Curtis is.
Well, Alisha Curtis, I write under my pseudonym, which is fake name in layman's term. But those who know me, so we're not going to get into that.
Right.
But anyway, Alisha has been writing for a long time. This book is actually like literally a labor of love.
Yes.
Folks don't understand, which we'll get into all of that.
Right.
But I've been writing a long time. This book basically came from several different short stories that I had.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody was like, why don't you just write a book?
Right.
So I took short stories and just kind of combined them and did a lot of fillers to make everything work.
Excellent. And so came this.
Product.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, when did you realize you first wanted to start writing? When you get the idea I want to do this? This is something I want to try to do.
Since I could start writing. The thing about writing is, and being that you do music, you understand.
Right.
There's some people who have a natural gift and talent to do something, and you have people that say, I want to do that, and figure they can just, it's either a talent, or you can work to develop the talent, or you just garbage.
Yeah.
I never necessarily wanted to be a writer or try to be a writer. I've always loved English and literature and that type thing.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, at the house I have my first book. It's made out of purple construction paper.
You're lying.
And yarn. And it has a rainbow on the front. I can't tell you what it was about, but I was crayon paper writing stories.
Really?
So it's been going on a long time.
Wow.
And I think maybe about the 6th grade or so, I really got into poetry.
Right.
And then the poetry just kind of spun itself into the short stories and going on. But it's not anything I ever tried to do.
Right.
It's just something that just kind of naturally happened, and I happen to have a knack for it.
That's awesome. So have you ever written music?
Interestingly enough, several years ago, I was dating somebody who considered himself
an artist.
He said he wrote, which is probably a lie. Because anyway, and he kind of challenged me, you can't do this, and I'm like, well, I write poetry, and I was like, all songs are poems.
Yes.
Put to music.
Yes.
So challenge accepted. I was in a mood, and I must have wrote 40 songs in a weekend.
Really? It's doable.
40 of them. Yeah.
It's doable.
And I still have them. It was just a vibe I had, and I just kept going at it or whatever, just to prove them wrong. Of course, I've never done anything with them, but
that's good though.
It's been a thought.
Because once you write, it opens the door to so much more than I love it.
Absolutely.
So, all right, let's jump into it. So, what's what's the what was the driving factor behind the title? How'd you really come up with the title? Were you going through, not to be personal, were you going through something at the time to where you was sex and or was it?
No, it's funny. I believe in divine intervention.
Yes.
I'm a believer in God, so it was the title just came to me. Mm-hmm. I wrote the book. I was writing the book. I didn't have a title. I was just writing. Yeah. And then Sex and the Single Girl popped into my head, and I was like, yo, that's perfect.
Yes.
Of course, there is another book, an older book that's almost like a manual to how women should conduct themselves kind of thing.
Okay.
But it's an older book.
You need to bring that back.
No. Wait a minute. Her ideas were a bit antiquated because we're talking about somebody from the 50s and 60s, and we're not doing that.
Okay.
In 2021. But yeah, so this is completely different.
Right.
But it just, Sex and the Single Girl just came to me, and it just fit what I had going on in the story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you said that's not going on no more than 50s. It's not, but some of the stuff I think we need. Some of the base things.
Listen. I'm not, see, I don't know if you want to get into this conversation.
Okay.
Oh, no.
So,
The thing about it is, I say, me and my sister say all the time, we are not the woman that my mother was.
Oh,
however, the men we run into are not the man my father was.
True stories.
So the thing is, I think a lot of times men have this expectation that a woman behave a certain way and conduct herself a certain way, while they still do the same old thing. Right. And I feel like if I had a man, if I was in like my mom's situation, my father deserved the kind of treatment she gave him, right? And vice versa. He treated her like a queen, and she treated him like a king. Right. So you have a lot of dudes that are not kings that get treated as such. And to be fair, you have a lot of women that are wearing a crown or wanting to wear a crown, and they're not quite there yet. There we go. There's some values and stuff that I absolutely think that men and women should. It would be good if we could throw back to
some of them.
Yes. But then it's a lot. It's gonna have to be a two-way street. Yeah. Not just, well, you do this while I keep on this same path. No, we got to do this.
Wow, you be perfect for girl code and all that.
Of course.
Man, we be trying to talk about all this. We talk about a lot of 50-50 things and all of that. But that's here nor there. We here to talk about, your book.
Right.
So let's jump into it. Like, so what's one of your favorite parts? Just explain the book a little bit for the viewers.
Okay. Well, as the title implies, the book is about sex.
Okay.
But it's about a single girl.
Right.
I have a character by the name of Milan. She's the main character, and just basically, she just has this idea of a prince in shining armor kind of thing, and she has these what she finds out are unrealistic expectations of what to expect from a man in a relationship. And it's just, the book kind of follow her going through trials and errors and emotions and, kind of figuring things out, sometimes a little too late.
Yeah.
But then that's how you learn.
That's how you learn.
Sex is a very, it's a very relatable subject.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people try to be shy and coy about it, but it's a good subject. You find out a lot of people when you have that conversation.
Yes.
And the kind of books I like to read, like, of course, the classic Coldest Winter Ever by Sister Soldier.
Oh, God.
And the Zane books. And, Eric Jerome Dickey. Like, all those people, those are the books I grew up reading. Right. And I'm a very visual person when I write, which...
Right.
We're not going to...
Right, right.
So I think the most fun I had a lot of times was writing the emotional stuff with the sexual stuff too, because I kind of had to pause and think about it and then go, okay, and then write that down. And after people read the book, I knew how relatable it was. And it was like, yo, I felt that. And of course, as a writer, you want somebody, whether it's music or a book, you want something that people gonna remember and it resonates with them. For sure. And the fact that folks is like, yo, like, I had to put the book down and walk away from it for a second.
Stop it.
I was like,
I might have the girl code have this as a book club. Y'all might need to read this on the G-Spot. I think it's dope because me being a writer myself of music, I like to be super relatable. Like, a lot of artists I like are super relatable, like the kind of artists that will tell you like everything.
I love storytellers.
Like, it makes it more interesting. Don't just give me the on surface things. It's like, okay, we know this. Tell me something I can like, me too.
Make me think, and then put it in a way, though, the metaphors and stuff, where it has a double meaning, and I really got to think about it. Like, that's definitely kind of stuff I like listening to. So. Oh my gosh.
So let me ask you this. So, how many pages are in the book? How many chapters? If you remember, how many chapters?
I think I'm at like 246 pages.
Okay.
And 20 plus chapters, I think. And I only say that because this is actually the second version of this book.
Really?
The first version I wrote, it had a completely different ending.
Really?
I had what I'm gonna call a peer reader. Interesting. She was from the UK.
Okay.
And she read the book and she loved it as it was, but she was like, "Yo, it's so good you can't end it there."
Wow.
And I was done. Like, I was so done. I was so glad. I was like, I put a stamp on it at the end. I'm finished. This thing is perfect.
Yeah.
And she came back and told me that. And I was like, are you serious? Do you know how long this took me? And now you're telling me to give you more?
Right.
But I'm so glad
Homework.
You have to be able to take constructive criticism.
Yes.
You have to.
Yes.
And this was literally my baby. And that's like somebody telling you something about your child.
Right.
You're not going to tell me nothing about it.
I
know that my kid is a terror in kindergarten.
Right.
I know he bite and he kick and he pinch people.
Right.
But that's my baby. Don't you talk about him. And that's how I felt about the book. I was like, it's perfect. What are you talking about? Mm-hmm. But I'm so glad that I actually paused and went back and took her advice.
Yes.
And did it the way I did it, because it just opened up room for more.
Yeah.
Where I had it before, it was kind of final, but now that it gives me room to kind of flow into something else. So
I remember when the book dropped, I remember seeing you on some sort of like a promotional tour. How was that? Was that your first kind of? I see you in a few places. I was like, every week she's doing something.
But that's the thing, like, you have to. That was a new experience for me. Despite contrary to popular belief, I am kind of an introvert.
Really? That's funny, because when I seen the name of the book, I'm like, because I used to work with you, so I'm like, she don't even look like the type of, so it was funny. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. No, but that's the thing. People are like, you wrote a book called what? And we also, I think you got a question about that we don't get into. But and it was like, okay, I don't know what y'all think, but it's like, I'm an adult woman. It's okay for us to talk about these things, because it's the sex word. It's a dirty word. But I had to, like you were saying, as far as promotion, you have to get out and be everywhere. And it was like, any place I had an opportunity, I was there. For sure, I was there. And it meant, coming out of my box necessarily and talking to people and engaging with people I may not normally do. Right. But you never know. You might think, this person right here wouldn't be interested in this. Right. And that might be your biggest fan. So I had to just say, look, I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to do my little promo thing. Right. And at least I'm putting forth the effort. I can't move the book and just say, well, Tissa wrote a book or Alisha wrote a book. Right. Go get it. Yeah. If people keep seeing it, curiosity might make them say, well, let me check. Exactly.
The name is appealing. It's something that will draw you in to be like, well, let me just flip it open and see what she's talking about in here. So that's a real catchy thing, I think. How long did it take you to write the book?
That's a complicated question. Yeah. It took me years to write the book. Yeah. And like I said, simply because I think in earnest, I probably started back in 2000 and I think I was living in Atlanta at the time. I might have started about 2004, 2005. Right. And again, it started with just some short stories. I had a muse. I don't know if you knew about a muse, but I had an interesting evening, and I was up 24 hours. Really? And I had music playing, and I was just writing. Yes, when the sun came up, I was like a notebook halfway full. Because they just kept coming out, and I just kept writing. That's what started it. Okay. And then, like I said, over the years, I tweaked it and would add to it, take away from it. Mm-hmm. But when I made my mind up to actually write the book, I'm going to say from start to finished product, maybe 3 years.
3 years?
Maybe 3 years. But again, that was several like additions and editing, the editing part.
Yeah, I know that's gotta be crazy.
I did it myself. I didn't send. You can pay people
really
to do that, but that's me going over every word, every page, typos, grammatical errors, all of that stuff. That was probably more time consuming than actually writing the book.
I think that's key, because being that it's yours, you would want to correct it and word it exactly, even if it's a punctuate, how you want to do it, versus somebody like, it sounds, but you didn't write it, so how you, right. I think that's key though. Yeah. So 3 years.
No, and that's the thing. I mean, some people, everybody's process is different. Some people can just get something and just write, but I'm a perfectionist. Me too. And especially this day and age, you can publish even with music. Mm-hmm. Anybody can put out anything. Right. Anybody can put out something on SoundCloud. Right. Anybody can go on Amazon and write a book. You can write a book that say A, B, C, D and say, I just published a book. Right. It's really that easy. But like I said, being a perfectionist and wanting my book to sound a certain way and come across a certain way, I just took my time with it. Yes. And it's not like I didn't give myself a deadline. It's like the book is done when it is done. It is done when you stop writing it.
Yes, there you go. I like that.
Yeah.
I heard you say it just took, you would write. So you just basically wrote it by yourself. You didn't have any co-op. You didn't just,
No. I think I can't say for everybody, but being in my work is fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Usually fiction, people write it themselves.
Right.
When it's nonfiction, somebody's writing about their life or something like that, like a celebrity, then they get a ghostwriter or they get a co-writer because they can tell their story, but they don't have the technical aspect behind it to put their story into words.
That makes sense.
But no, it was all me.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did I say? What are what'd you learn? Like, what's the most important thing you probably learned? Being that you wrote the book, like when it was finished and you just went over it and got the reactions from people, what did you most learn from it? Like, oh well, I'm glad I did this or that. Did you learn anything from reactions or something?
I learned patience.
Yeah.
Absolute learned patience. I was proud of myself that, like I was talking about, the constructive criticism.
Yeah, you need that.
Before, I was not interested in hearing what nobody had to say about my book, but that was a lesson that was learned, and going forward with anything else, I'm going to be more open to it. And just what I did was right, no matter how much time it took, because I got the end result I wanted.
Right.
If I would have took another route, I wouldn't have been as happy with it. If I never, and I like to use this reference, and I'm nothing like her, but Miss Lauryn Hill,
all right,
in the Miseducation, she did that one album, and it stands the test of time.
Yes.
I'm not saying I'm on that level, but if I leave here today, I'm proud of the one book that I did do. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I covered everything I needed to cover. I didn't leave one stone unturned, so I'm proud with the product for taking my time to do it.
Wow. I wanted to ask a question, but I want to ask one before that. How do, like, in the process of it, like, how do books get published and how long does it take? Because I know you once you finish it, you want it, like, I'm ready here. When's the return?
Right. Right. So, it's a process. Once you finish writing, like I said, some people wait until they finish writing to edit.
Okay.
I edited while I went along.
That's smart.
Which still is time consuming, but if I have a book that's 300 pages, I don't want to get to the end of that and then, you know what I'm saying, and then go back and start from the beginning.
Right.
Sometimes I put it down, I'd come back to it after a week, and I would see things I didn't see when they call it fresh eyes.
Right.
Put it down, look away from it, and look back at it, all of a sudden you see these glaring errors and stuff.
Right.
But, Lord, the question again,
how do books get published? How long?
Okay, I self-published. Mm-hmm. I used a format called KDP, which is Kindle Direct Publishing, but I think Amazon is involved now, so I don't know if KDP still exists.
Right.
But you have to format your book to a certain size. You have to find cover art. I mean, it's a process of formatting. That in itself was very, very frustrating.
I bet.
Because, you got to, for bleed and all of this kind of stuff. And,
wow.
Yeah.
You should do it yourself era, though. So, as far
pretty much. Yeah. You can get the first copy of it, and if it looked messed up, to go in and change certain things. If you're doing print, if you're doing, like, ebook or something like that, you don't have to worry about all of that because it's accessible on something digital.
So you didn't have the old school going there with a.
Oh no! I submitted my.
Oh, you
manuscript. I did submit my manuscript to maybe one or two places, but I think early on I kind of decided I would do that just to see what happened. But I kind of was going ahead with self-publishing anyway, because it is like getting on with a major record label. Right. It is hard. They have so many things coming at them, and no matter how great you think your stuff is, if you don't catch their intention, and I think with books, it's you got first 5 pages.
Really?
The first 5 pages. You better make an impact and make them want to read it. Your title need to catch their attention, the first 5 pages, or you in the reject pile.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to send it out or whatever. And it took months to hear anything back. And they'll say something generic like it isn't right for our label. And you send yourself,
wow,
everything I read is on your label. This is perfect for your label. But you can't make people, But that was fine. You know what I'm saying? I didn't set myself up for that disappointment. I wasn't crossing I was like, okay, if it happens, it happens.
Right.
But I'm still going to publish, even if it's self-published. Now, the difference with And like I said, it took them months to come back and tell me no, which was fine. I was already moving towards self-publishing. Right. But the thing about when you publish through somebody like that, if you get on, you do there's somebody there who is going to take a red marker, a red pen to your word. Mm-hmm. They making lines, they crossing off, take that out like you were saying before. They're going to make it kind of fit their mold and their formula. So as dope as you think your project is, they might come behind you and say, yeah, well, you need to cut this section out, cut that section out, put this in here. And to me, that's discouraging. Yeah. And it's like starting all over again. Yeah, y'all about to give me a check to write this book.
But it ain't mine. In a sense.
Exactly.
It's kind of yours.
Because the editor gave their opinion and say, y'all do this, do that.
Right.
So, yeah, it's
a process, though.
Yeah, it's a process. But once I started, I mean, it might have been a month or two. Yeah. But it was just more so, like I said, finding the format was the hard part.
Tedious things.
The little things. Right. You want to make sure that you get right.
All right. I thought it was going to take like 6 months, something like that. Like, I'm looking at movies, and that's, the movies, they like, yeah, I submitted a book, and they get it back months later. Yeah. So I was thinking standard. I don't know. It's a different time.
I mean, with books and movies and stuff, they got to adapt a screenplay out of it. Like, I wrote my book. My book is very visual. I describe people's height, people's weight, their complexion. Everything. All of that stuff, because in my mind, I'm writing for a movie. So if they were to ever script it, they say, she's already described these people. She's already, put it out there. But with the movies, they take a book, they make a screenplay of the book, which means it could be completely different to make it what they feel people want to see up on the screen. Yeah.
So I was going to ask one of my questions too, like, are there any more books / movies / screenplays?
Listen, ideally,
screenplay would be tough.
And I thought about it, and I was like, I would so be interested in casting and making a movie out of my book, but I'm looking at what is our talent pool in this area, and there has to be funding behind it. I'm like,
it can be done though.
It absolutely. If you have people that are people that are even hungry, who may not even be necessarily concerned with money and how much they're getting paid, they just know they about to be in a movie, straight to YouTube, whatever it is, movie. You have people that's like, yo, I want to be an actress or actor, and they about to put me in this movie called Sex and the City. So no, it's always been in my head. I would totally be open to the idea. I think we need to put
that together. We're going to talk after this, because I'm trying to do something else as far as, we're going to talk about that.
But no, hopefully there are more books coming, but it's such a process. I have ideas all the time, and as weird as it is, a lot of the characters, I hear little things, right? Or I'll see something, and I'll be like, that's perfect for her. Right. And then I got to write this down in her story, but actually writing it is a different story. And then with COVID and everything being on lockdown, it's just hard to get creative. It's hard. You got a lot of spare. I had a lot of spare time, but the creativity wasn't there.
I see. You should write it. Not you should, but I'm thinking you should write a COVID thing too, like something that's happened in the COVID. You was in the house, not you per se, but
that could be a short story. And it's little things like that happen, and it can be be like this, somebody showed up at the not just somebody, but showed up with a mask on, and he had some,
So give me some inspiration for like young people or anyone else that's trying to write a book who may want to attempt writing. Okay. What's some advice you would give them?
Well, my advice is basically everyone has a story. Everyone, anybody with any life experience has a story to tell. Yes. The difference is, do you have the ability to? I can talk to you all day and entertain you telling you my story. Right. But when you have to write it down and fill in spaces and write dialogue and conversation so people can follow along, that's where it becomes difficult. So it's not as easy as people think. People think it's little, I used to write papers all the time in high school. Right. It's a completely different ballgame. When I got to write, this character said this, and then I got to explain that other character's body language. You know what I'm saying? So I would just say, if you have a love for writing, whether it's writing journals, diary, or whatever, by all means, keep at it. Yes. Whether you want to write fiction, nonfiction, historical stuff. I mean, there's a market for any and everything now. Yes. It's not as closed as it used to be. If you can think of it, you can write about it, and somebody's going to be interested in reading it.
Oh, yeah.
But do it for making money from it is great, but if you're doing it for the love of it, you're not going to have any regrets.
Right.
Because you're doing something that you love. If you're doing it with the hopes that you're going to be rich, I'm going to tell you right now, unless you already got a connection and you know you're going straight to a publisher and get that advance check, keep your day job and write for fun and maybe make a little bit, make your money on the side. But just keep writing. And even if you're not a natural writer, but you feel you have a story you want to tell, still, write it down. Maybe get with somebody who's a little better with words than you are.
Right.
And maybe y'all can put something together that, you can be proud of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I see on movies, people just quit their jobs and they're like, I got the advance. But when I was writing music, like, I got a lot of ideas at work. Like, when I was at work, I'm like, just what you see. Like you said, what you see, what you hear. And so I take all that in. Like, you got to be able to
store it in your memory bank, and you be like, this happened, and you be like, I got to write about that.
Yeah.
And that was me. That's everything to me is an experience and something to write about. And unfortunately, I've had some people I'm not going to say they enter my life, but they were in my life, and they would do certain things or behave a certain way because why? They want to be a character in the book.
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
I'm going to make it in the book.
That's crazy.
You think you're significant enough to... it's just kind of like... Really?
That's funny.
But people, they do it. They want to be immortalized. You gonna write about me? No, probably not.
Wow.
Probably not. I'll write about the dumb stuff you did, or you did, or the crazy thing you said.
Just so they can be like, that was me. Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But I don't want a best man situation.
Right.
He wrote it all out.
I was watching that the other day. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, your book not it's juicy like that, but not like that. I know it's juicy, but it's
juicy like that, but not like that.
Right.
I mean, listen.
Like you wouldn't write about your friends, like
listen, okay,
and then still be around them.
No.
Okay. Yeah.
So the thing about it, it's what I call composite characters.
Mm-hmm.
So that basically means that my characters might be bits and pieces of situations and people that I know.
Mm-hmm.
No one person can read one of the characters and say that's me.
Yeah, that's
way too.
Wow.
That's way too problematic. So it might be a situation that somebody I know may read it and say that sounds familiar, but it's going to be different. So you just take bits and pieces and then put it in a body or put it in a conversation that it didn't naturally exist in. So even if it sounds familiar to somebody, they can't say you plagiarized my. No, it's not. It's not you.
I'm laughing because that's what I used to do when I used to write about females. So just so you won't think this is about you,
I'm gonna change something up.
About 6 different things plus an ideal female of what I want. So you'd be like, that sounds like me,
but that's not me.
I didn't go to vet. You know what I'm saying? So I know that's ill.
Yeah, you got to do it that way.
Definitely.
Unless you want people trying to say, give me my cut.
Right.
No.
Do you have people giving you ideas as far as for books? Like, you should write about it.
People always have ideas and, I had this thing happen to me. You should write about it. And it's like, but it happened to you. If it's interesting enough.
Right, then I'll pick up on it.
Then maybe. But usually I don't. It doesn't work out that way.
How about an autobiography?
This book is somewhat autobiographical. There's a lot of my personal experiences and my thoughts that went into this. Is probably the closest to a biography that I would get.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't write.
You wouldn't write a tell-all.
God, no.
Sell out for a tell-all. Like, they be like, she bugging in this thing.
Right. No, not good.
Okay, good.
Do that.
What can we, before we wrap up, where can we get the book from? Is it online? Is it in the store?
Yes.
I need some for the shop, too. We'll talk after.
Yeah. Right now, the book was available, or is available on Amazon. It's under Sex and the Single Girl, Alisha Curtis. And be sure it's the blue cover and Alisha Curtis, because that other one might come up.
Yes.
But yeah, it's on Amazon. It's available in the ebook. I was getting the actual print copies of it, but I stopped that because I was going to rework some things in the book. Right. But I haven't reactivated the actual, paper copy. But yeah, it's on Amazon right now. So
that's
pick it up.
Lit.
It's really, really good.
The way you're describing it, I'm like, this.
I've had husbands buy for their wives.
Really?
Yeah. And
like,
then,
here, read this.
And then come to me like, I don't know what's in that book, but and I'm
wow, look at you.
Glad it worked.
So we need to get these short films. We need to get some short, because I'm trying to do some short films too, though.
Listen,
but we
a friend of mine years ago wanted me to. I started working on a screenplay for him, but then that like didn't work. If it's an idea and it's something to write about, like I will, you know. I don't know how good I am under necessarily pressure, but certain things spark me, and I just go to writing. Yeah, having this a screenplay or something else, I would totally be game for that, just because I love to write. I mean, I'm kind of ready to write now. That'd
be dope. So Amazon.com under Miss Alisha Curtis, Sex and the Single Girl. How much is the book, may I ask?
The ebook, I think, is like $1.99.
Really?
Yes.
No, we need to get the price up for that.
No, for the ebook. Now, if I rework the cover and put the other things I said and make it available in paper again, then the price might fluctuate a little bit. But I think it's like $1.99.
Wow.
Look, I have a day job. It's cool.
No, it's not about that. It's about the value of it.
I get my money.
Yeah. But if it's popping, then it need to be popping. Like, no, this need to be $20.
Yeah, but mind you, I mean, if the numbers start going up on Amazon, because I have some reviews. They're all 5 stars, so thank you.
So let's turn up the price.
Yeah.
I learned that doing business. Once you give them to it for this, now it's,
once it start moving again,
That's what's up. Yeah. So you said, I asked this before, but before we close out, and I got a few people who just tuned in. Do you have you said you have some more books you're working on?
I am working. I actually have probably about, honestly, 2 or 3 follow-up books. That I have bits and pieces, chapters in each of them. But what I need to focus on the actual follow up to this one. And push that through and get that out. But 1,000,001 ideas. It's just a matter of actually sitting down and making it happen.
Do you have what's your time like? Like, what's your schedule like when
When writing, I write whenever it hits. If I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, I wake up with an idea. The light is going on, and I'm writing something down. But I write whenever I get the time. Weekends, usually nighttime or whatever. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, there's been times when, like you said, during the workday, I feel my most creative. Between Monday through Friday, 9 through 5, I want to write and write and write, and of course, can't necessarily do that. But it's whenever the mood hits, and just unfortunately it just has not been hitting how I want it to. But I'm trying to prompt myself and to get into some things that'll get my creative juices flowing. Whether it's music, because like I said, I tend to write with music playing a lot. So it's like, look, I need to light some candles, play some Her and whoever else.
That's my girl. Don't get it.
Don't do
on
that.
The way here, I'm listening to that.
Right, before I left work, that's what I was listening to.
Stop it. But I asked that 'cause my friend Corey, my bro Corey Rogers on here. He always tell me, you know Corey. He like, you already work 8 hours. Like 8 hours of your day is 40 hours of the week is accounted for. Like, so he understands like why I get off work and then come here. Yeah. So that's why I asked what's your schedule like. 'Cause to me it's like, if you succumb to that, like, well, I work today, I'm tired. Like, you'll never feel me? So
you get stuck.
A lot of people don't realize that. Like, this is what I want to do. It can be 3 a.m. I'm waking up like, finally got it, and that's what it takes. So that's key though.
That's how it is when you're creative. Like you can't cut it on or off. You can't tell when inspiration is gonna hit. You just kind of got to go with it.
Yes.
And it's a blessing
because
it is. Some people just don't have that.
Yeah, it's a blessing to be able to express yourself.
Absolutely.
Creative wise. So.
Absolutely.
But anything you want to say before we close out?
Thank you for having me.
I had a few people say hi, but go ahead, I'll tell you. Yeah.
I'm so sorry that it's taken so long, but life does things to us sometimes, and our plan ain't necessarily God's plan, but I'm glad I was able to make it. Thank you for having me. When the next one or whatever the next project comes, I look forward to showing up again and saying, guys, I did it.
Yes.
I wish you continued success.
Yes.
Everything you got going on.
Yes. Once again, I do thank you for coming up here.
Absolutely.
For those who don't know, we tried to do this like last year sometime, but COVID hit. And so this was a long time coming. If you have some time, even if you don't have some time, because you do have some time, make sure you get the book at Amazon.com. Miss Alisha Curtis, Sex and the Single Girl.
Yes.
And you should check it out. So
please do.
Yes. Thank you everyone again for tuning in, and we will get with you very soon. Bye. All right.